Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today we are finally kicking off Road to Ranked in Generation 9. This is the series where I climb the online VGC ladder in-game and provide live commentary as I go, and try out all kinds of different Pokemon and strategies along the way. For the very first episode, I wanted to feature a team with primarily brand new Pokemon, and so this team utilizes a lot of cool new picks such as Toedscruel as well as Kingambit. It's a Trick Room oriented team, and as always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps in the description below. Thank you so much as always for watching. These last few days and weeks have felt so surreal. I've been making VGC content for over 8 years now, which is wild to think about. And I just feel so grateful to have all of you as viewers. And it's really just a dream come true. You are literally letting me live out a dream. And so thank you so much. It means the world to me. And I really can't express my gratitude enough. And I'm just so grateful to have a platform where I can share my love and passion for competitive Pokemon and VGC with all of you. So if this is content that you enjoy and want to see more of, it'd mean a lot if you consider leaving a like on the video or subscribing. It truly does help me and the channel out a ton. But from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much, and let's officially kick off our VGC journey here. First of all, a huge thank you to Hijito, the original team creator, for building this team. I've linked their Twitter down in the description below, as well as a rental and paste, and of course the rental code's also up there if you want to try it out yourselves. And in typical Road to Rank fashion, I always ask a question of the day, so today's question, I want to know what your first team looks like down in the comment section below. So let's talk about this team. I think I gotta start with Toedscruel. So part of the reason I wanted to feature this team is because I had Toedscruel. And honestly, when I looked at this Pokemon, I was like, this just kind of feels like a Poramungus, but it gets access to Trick Room. So you have a really unique kit where you have Trick Room, Rage Powder, and Spore. That's pretty wild in itself. Toedscruel does have a really weird ability, which kind of limits its potential, where its status moves will go last in their priority bracket and ignore abilities. And so you often be in these weird situations where you might end up like setting up Trick Room, for example, but then the Toedscruel still can't just like Spore something immediately. It's going to have to move last. But yeah, it just has a really unique kit where you can pressure as a Trick Room user, but also can pressure as a Spore user and a redirection user, which is really, really cool. In addition, it gets access to Earth Power, so you get the same type attack bonus off that. That's really valuable, especially into Torkoal. I keep talking about Torkoal here because this team actually, like, is faster than Torkoal, right? If you go up against Torkoal, they can outspeed you under Trick Room, and that's why Toedscruel here is important. You also have Water Terra as a defensive mechanism against the opposing Torkoals. Akaberry also helps against it. So I think this Pokemon is just super interesting. I've often led the Toedscruel with, for example, the Armarouge, and then just pressure like double Trick Room immediately, but I can also like go for Rage Powder Trick Room. I can go for Trick Room plus Spore, for example. You have a ton of options with this combo as a lead. And so we should talk about the Armarouge a little bit next. This is one of the brand new Gen 9 Pokemon that I think will be especially common in the early days of the metagame, and that's for a couple of reasons. One, it's got two amazing abilities in Flash Fire and Weak Armor, and so you can run this Pokemon in a variety of different ways. It's got good base stats overall across the board, and its speed stat is one of those where it's like, okay, it's slow enough where you can utilize it as an effective Trick Room user and actually, you know, outspeed a lot of Pokemon under Trick Room, but it's also fast enough where like this thing can be speedy, especially if like if you combine it with Tailwind support, for example. And so yeah, I think that this is just an awesome Pokemon, and it gets access to Armor Cannon, which is a really nice new move. Base 120, 100% accuracy, and it just lowers your defense and special defense by 1. So a lot of different ways you can run this Pokemon. The Covert Cloak exists here to bypass flinches from Fake Out, and you've got Heat Wave, Armor Cannon, Psyshock, and Trick Room. Now, Psyshock sometimes is expanding force on this Pokemon when there's an Indeedee on the team, but as you can see, there is no Indeedee on this team, so Psyshock is just a little bit more consistent. So these are your two Trick Room users, and now you have Annihilape as another way to kind of enable Trick Room. And so what I mean by that is that this is a really good lead next to the Armarouge or next to the Toedscruel. And the idea is that you final Gambit into something, ideally KO them as you sacrifice yourself, and then both of these Pokemon are fairly bulky, so it's often difficult to just get a one-hit knockout onto them, and then they just angle to set up Trick Room, for example. And then once Annihilape goes down, right, you just get a free switch into Kingambit, Gholdengo, Mudsdale, and these are all really effective sweepers. And so really nice synergy here, right? Like imagine Annihilape sacrifices itself, and then Kingambit just comes in and then gets a attack boost immediately from Supreme Overlord. And so yeah, Kingambit is the next Pokemon to talk about, and this is, of course, Bisharp's new evolution. Just a really effective sweeper. Great base attack in base 120, 135, and Dark and Steel just gives you generally good coverage across the board. It also gets a new attack here, which is base 85 power, and never misses, which is pretty sweet. And so I think you could really run either Defiant or Supreme Overlord. I've had games where Defiant would have been more relevant, but Supreme Overlord generally is consistent with this team where you don't have to rely on your opponent in order to boost your attack, and Kingambit often is just really effective as a late game sweeper after, you know, a single Pokemon or two Pokemon have gone down. The final two Pokemon here are Gholdengo. Gholdengo is, I think, also going to be incredibly popular because, one, it's just got incredible typing, and two, it gets a crazy signature attack in Make It Rain, which just does base 120 to both of your opponent's Pokemon and just lowers Gholdengo's special attack by 1. Its ability, by the way, is amazing as well. It makes it immune to status moves, which is super, super good. So this can deal huge amounts of damage across the board, and Make It Rain is an incredibly, incredibly powerful attack, but you have good coverage between Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, and Thunderbolt as well. This Pokemon's also interesting because very much like the Armarouge, it's like not exactly that slow. It's actually base 84. But, you know, when you're min speed under Trick Room, you'll have a fairly, you know, good chance of outspeeding most of the Pokemon that you're going up against. And so, yeah. The final Pokemon here is Mudsdale. This is the only old Pokemon on this team, and yeah, it's just an effective sweeper. Choice Band under Trick Room, incredible coverage. Inner Focus makes you immune to both flinching and intimidates as well, which is pretty awesome. So a lot of the games I've gone with, for example, Armarouge plus Toedscruel set up Trick Room, and then, you know, have a combination of Kingambit, Gholdengo, or Mudsdale in the back. I've also had games with Annihilape plus one of the Trick Room users, and then two of the sweepers with Kingambit, Gholdengo, or Mudsdale. And I've even had some games where I'm like, okay, if you don't really pressure my Trick Room user immediately, something like Toedscruel and Gholdengo, for example, or Gholdengo or an Armarouge can be nice, because Gholdengo just exerts so much offensive pressure right from turn 1, given its incredible base special attack stat, and the combination of choice specs and some really, really strong attacks here. So that's it for the team. Let's finally start the battles. All right, our very first battle here in Scarlet and Violet Ranked, and it's going to be Pelipper, Palafin, Hydreigon, Arcanine, Scizor, and Amoonguss. So, Amoonguss is interesting. That's the main thing that can be a little bit annoying for us here. They also have Pelipper and Palafin. It could be like Choice Scarf. I could go the Trick Room route. I don't necessarily need to set it up. The main question is, I'd say, how the Amoonguss is trained. If we want to get Trick Room, I could just go with something like the Annihilape plus the Armarouge. I could always go with the Armarouge plus the Toedscruel as well. Gholdengo seems okay here, as does Kingambit. Alright, let's try this out. Yeah, I'd say Amoonguss is the one thing that I'm really looking out for here. Mainly because it can Spore us under Trick Room, which would be a little bit annoying. So we'll have to see if they lead it, and if so, really how fast it is. Because one thing is, we don't necessarily need to set up Trick Room. Also, that's really cool, seeing the flames come up there. Alright. I'm just excited to try some of these new Pokemon. Toedscruel, Kingambit. It's going to be Hydreigon and Palafin to start. Okay. Hydreigon plus Palafin here. So, what do we want to do? Could just go for Trick Room here into a Rage Powder. I think I'm okay with that outcome here. Their best bet would probably be to flip turn and then go out into Amoonguss. But the rest of their team is relatively speedy outside of Amoonguss, so I don't mind setting up Trick Room. Amoonguss coming in would be a little bit annoying, but that's fine. Toedscruel can get around it by being just grass typing in itself. And Amoonguss can only really Spore one Pokemon at a time anyway, but they're actually just going to hard switch. Okay. Into Arcanine. The fact that it's Arcanine coming out and not the Amoonguss, I think, is already a fairly good sign for us. So I'll take that. Okay, so Toedscruel's going to Rage Powder. And they're just going to Dark Pulse. That's fine. Cool. Maybe reveal the Life Orb as well. So I get Trick Room up. We know there's Palafin in the back. I'm down to just Psyshock here, I think, and Earth Power, honestly, into Arcanine. See if we can try to get a knockout onto that. Hydreigon definitely is a little bit scary, but it is not the end of the world in terms of it like just potentially sweeping my team, and I think just getting up Trick Room early was really valuable. I mean, the team we're using here is very Trick Room oriented. Like, I think if you don't get Trick Room up, you're generally not in great shape, but between having the Armarouge as well as the Toedscruel, you know, the odds of getting Trick Room are fairly high. So we're going to launch Psyshock here in Arcanine. Solid damage. Toedscruel is going to get the Earth Power. Super effective. That's going to be a knockout. Excellent. Arcanine will faint. And they're actually going to launch Draco Meteor. So the logic behind Draco Meteor there is to cover for a Rage Powder, because as you saw earlier, the Rage Powder redirected the Dark Pulse away, and then Dark Pulse actually did under 50% to the Toedscruel. So yeah, I think the theory there basically like, okay, if you target that slot, well, or if you go for Rage Powder, I'll get redirection into you and then be able to potentially KO you. So it puts us in an interesting spot where they actually don't get the KO, but they are just at -2 now. We still have 3 turns of Trick Room to work with. I don't mind just going for Psyshock on a Palafin here. And honestly, a Spore into that slot as well. This is interesting because this is where Toedscruel's ability becomes relevant. Can they potentially pick up a double knockout here before I get the Spore off? We'll have to see. But honestly, from this position, I don't even mind 2 free switch-ins into Gholdengo as well as the Kingambit. Because then we just have so much offense between, yeah, the Choice Specs Make It Rain, as well as Kingambit getting boosted with Supreme Overlord. So they're going to Terra. It's going to be Water Terra here. Okay. That makes sense. Mainly go for increase in damage with that. Hydreigon protects, which is really good for us. Okay. And they're going to go for Jet Punch here. Sure. Into Toedscruel. Okay. So I could have considered going for a Terra there. Would have been a defensive Terra. Turn me into Water type. But I don't mind that. Decent damage from Psyshock. I mean, we can't just go into Gholdengo here. It might be a little bit more consistent to go into Kingambit first, I think. Yeah. Two turns of Trick Room. You would think Hydreigon's going to want to switch out here. Actually done an Armor Cannon into that slot. I could see it being Pelipper coming in, I suppose. Armor Cannon would do a lot into Sizzle or Amoonguss, so yeah. Armor Cannon here, and then I could go for... it's Terra Steel. Yeah, I'll just go for the Sucker Punch here. They're not going to switch out either slot, so we are just going to get a KO into Palafin. That was a critical hit, but I don't know, with Life Orb here, I don't really think that matters too much, but I could be wrong. It's interesting that they didn't want to switch out Hydreigon, though, because now you're just stuck at -2 for the remainder of the game, which is obviously good for me. So we'll get Armor Cannon off here. Really solid damage, honestly. Okay. And they're just going to Dark Pulse. Perfect. So this gives me a free switch in now as well. I think them not bringing Amoonguss out in this made it a lot easier for me because they just couldn't really threaten me too much under Trick Room. The Palafin Water Terra made sense mainly for offense, right, into the Toedscruel earlier. But now I've conserved my Terra for this endgame. It is Pelipper as their final one. Okay, cool. Pelipper... I think this turn, we don't even need to go for a Terra, truthfully. It's the last turn of Trick Room. You would imagine they just double protect. I'm happy to just go for Make It Rain plus our signature attack here into Pelipper. But with the Hydreigon being at -2 special attack, and us having a fair amount of bulk, yeah, like even if they double protect here, it's totally okay, I think. Yep, it will just be a double. The question is whether or not I want to consider going for a Terra with either slot. Doesn't really change much, to be honest, here. Like, doesn't really increase my damage output. I guess the main thing to think about now is that they could potentially double up onto a slot for a KO. Expires. Yeah, I mean, like, they could Dark Pulse here and go for, like, a Hydro Pump onto Gholdengo, right? I'm curious if Life Orb Sucker Punch honestly just KOs Hydreigon. I'm going to go for it. If not, I would think that this plus the Life Orb damage afterwards certainly is enough for a KO. But between Life Orb and Supreme Overlord, yeah, that's enough. Sweet. All right, Kingambit coming out and putting in some work for us right now. Okay, we take our life orb damage. Yeah, there's Hydro. I expect to survive here. Beautiful. And Gholdengo is going to make it rain here. Almost KOing Pelipper. Pretty fun here. You know, all the Pokemon we brought are brand new Pokemon from Generation 9. So, yeah. Like I said, ultimately, Amoonguss was the one Pokemon I was really worried about, and they didn't bring that, which was nice. But Kingambit really, really putting in so much work with the Sucker Punches in this game. And the combination of Life Orb, Sucker Punch, plus Supreme Overlord in the late game is just a really awesome combination. So, yeah. I would have loved to bring Mudsteel here potentially as well, but I just wanted to guarantee Trick Room up, and I felt like Toedscruel plus the Armarouge was a really good combination in order to try to get that Trick Room up. So, yeah, that is one game in the books, and that's our very first ranked game here in VGC for Scarlet and Violet. Okay, this is cool. It features a lot of Pokemon that we utilized in double battles before the VGC rule set dropped. Most notably, the Farafrig core with the Frigoraph with Murkrow, as well as the Glamora. But then there also has Annihilape, Arcanine, and the Meowscarada. This can be kind of annoying because the Farigiraf can imprison Trick Room, which would be kind of bad for us. Gholdengo's coverage is honestly really solid here. Also, we could try to set up Trick Room with Toedscruel. Like, Toedscruel's just interesting because I'm not sure people really know about it super well. It's just not a Pokemon that's really seen much play yet. I guess I could also go with Annihilape plus a Trick Room user, no? That seems fairly effective. Kind of thinking about Annihilape plus the Toedscruel, the Kingambit, and then Gholdengo. Alright, I'm down to give that a shot. I don't know if it's the best, but it's cool already to see the influence that just the first week of doubles, even pre-VGC rule set announcement, has already played here. As, yeah, the Frigoraph plus the Murkrow combination is really interesting. If you want to see me try out that duo, I'll link some battles from, yeah, last week of Scarlet and Violet. But they're going to go with Glamora and Meowscarada. Okay. Well, this doesn't seem too bad. Like, I am kind of down to just final Gambit here into Glamora and honestly just set up Trick Room. I guess I do have Earth Power here as well, so I could theoretically just try to KO Meowscarada. But it could be Focus Sash. Ooh, I also have U-Turn. If there's ever a time to go for U-Turn, I actually think it is here. Huh. Okay, I'm actually intrigued. I'm going to go for U-Turn here onto Meowscarada, and I'm actually just going to Earth Power here as well. Mainly because, like, with Annihilape, I'm very worried about going for Final Gambit into a potential Focus Sash. Oh, but they are going to be Choice Scarf Meowscarada. Okay, that's cool. Well, that's a little bit annoying. If I had actually clicked Final Gambit into the Glamora and then Trick Room, that probably would have worked out fairly well for us. Murkrow comes back out. I'm going to U-turn out now into Murkrow. I'm curious if they have a eject button here. Let's switch out into... I think Kingambit here is okay. The problem is I'm probably not getting Trick Room up here. Like, if I clicked Trick Room here, I honestly would have been in great shape. But, oh, interesting. Spikes. Okay. Not what I would have expected, but I'll take that. And it's Shuka Berry on Glamora as well. Wow. Very cool. That's still a one-hit KO. Is that a crit? Yeah. Okay. I honestly wouldn't have minded it surviving here just because it would have prevented them in getting a free switch in. But... yeah, the Choice Scarf on the Meowscarada is what kind of caught me off guard here. So they're going to bring Meowscarada back out, yeah. I mean, the thing is, Murkrow's not really that much of a problem for me to go up against. So, like, I'm down to just go for Iron Head into Meowscarada. And Rage Powder here. I think what we can basically take advantage of right now is the fact that Murkrow isn't a huge offensive threat. Okay, cool. They go for Feather Dance. Yep. That's exactly why we want a Rage Powder. And they're going to U-turn out again. So whatever is coming in is eating up a big Iron Head. Feather Dance is one of the cool tricks that Murkrow gets access to, though. So, yeah, I really like how my opponent has taken, you know, a bunch of Pokemon that have been popular in the early meta, even pre-VGC, and come up with some really interesting sets around them. Feather Dance is, yeah, a really nice tool on Murkrow. So they're going to bring out Annihilape. That's fine. Iron Head should do a substantial amount of damage here. Excellent. Honestly, I think Sucker Punch might just KO that from here. But I guess we'll have to see. I think I'm down to go into my Annihilape here. I'm going to eat up a little bit of Spikes damage, but that's okay. Yeah, like, I think I'm down to just Sucker Punch Annihilape here. And close combat into Murkrow. I'm mainly worried about a defensive Terra from Annihilape. I feel like I haven't really found great positions to Terra either in this game or the previous one. Mainly because, like, this team mainly relies on offensive Terraing. I think if I were Dark Terra with Kingambit, I definitely would have gone for it here just to feel more confident in KOing with Sucker Punch onto the Annihilape. But given how much Iron Head did, I'm fairly sure we should get the KO here. But it is going to be a Terra. Okay. Like, pure fighting Terra here would be pretty scary, right? Oh, but it's Ghost. Okay. That is going to ensure that we KO them. Well, I guess they can Feather Dance us, but still. They actually go for Thunder Wave, but yeah, we're Dark type, so we're immune. And actually, we would have been immune to Feather Dance as well. So yeah, that's one of the upsides of Kingambit. I didn't even really talk about that in the previous turn, because it ended up getting redirected anyway, but this should just be a double knockout now. So Annihilape will go down. And close combat here, we'll see if it finishes it off. Murkrow does survive, so that makes me think it's Eviolite. It's the item choice. But the question is, can Meowscarada really end up winning this game because it's choice banded? My opponent just lost their Terra, right? And now they're stuck with banded Meowscarada in the back, so it's not really looking too great for them. Murkrow here could Brave Bird, but there's nothing that can cover for this, yeah. Like, I think here I am down to just Iron Head into... Well, we have Gholdengo in the back, right? Yeah, I'm honestly down to just Sucker Punch Murkrow here and close combat. Well, no, hold on. I actually don't think that's the best play, because they could go for like a Feather Dance and then just try to KO this. So I think it's better to just Iron Head here into Murkrow and close combat. Yeah. They're going to go for Feather Dance, but yeah, it doesn't affect us. Play rough here into the Annihilape. That's fine. Now you're locked into play rough for the rest of the game. So Iron Head here will get the KO. So yeah, this is one of the interactions, of course, that is unique with Prankster and Dark-type Pokemon. Dark-type Pokemon are just immune to Prankster priority boosted attacks. So the Kingambit here just doesn't really care about any of it. Gholdengo comes out. We're going to eat up Spikes. You should be locked into play rough now. So what we want to do is not go for Terra here. And with you being play rough, yeah, I can just make it rain now. Yeah, and you can see how bulky Kingambit is. I mean, 207 HP is just an incredible stat. And Make It Rain here just gets the one-hit KO. So this was an interesting one because I didn't really set up Trick Room. I do think in retrospect, if I were to replay turn 1, I still would set up Trick Room. The Choice Scarf caught me off guard, and I should have considered that as an option. I think in my head, I was just thinking, oh, you're going to be Focus Sash or Choice Band or Clear Amulet, for example. But I think if we had set up Trick Room here, the Kingambit and the Gholdengo just sweep very, very quickly. So even though we ended up winning that game, I think it could have been a little bit cleaner on my end. And of course, I did get lucky with the critical hit onto Glamora as well. And Spikes is just, yeah, a move that generally has a little bit less value in VGC because you don't have as much switching relative to singles, for example. So yeah, but it makes sense on Glamora where you can get Spikes and Toxic Spikes up and then things just keep switching in. The thing, though, is that, like, because the nature of the Pokemon on the opposing side, like, there's Murkrow, there's Meowscarada, like, they're not exactly super bulky, so it's hard to see too many turns of value, I think, generally, between Spikes and Toxic Spikes. So, yeah. Okay, up at rank 2 now, and this team has Sylveon, Gholdengo, Baxcalibur, their own Armarouge, Indeedee, and Murkrow. Well, this one's definitely interesting. Could be Annihilape. Like, they have Trick Room potential with their own Armarouge. Like, they have Armarouge plus Indeedee, which is also just a really strong combination. Mudsdale's kind of interesting to me here. I think I want to bring Mudsdale. Just thinking about how I'm going to beat their Armarouge, but it could be Terra Toedscruel Water into Spore. Or Trick Room. Yeah, it's not a terrible idea. Huh. Especially since it also has Aqua Berry, so that's another solution into them. Like, I don't think our Armarouge is that strong, right? So I'm probably going to go with Toedscruel plus... maybe just Gholdengo. Like, Choice Specs Gholdengo packs so much damage early on. Mudsdale isn't bad either. I'm gonna go Gholdengo, Kingambit, Mudsdale. But what scares me a little bit is I'm indexing on really slow Pokemon, too, which have choice items as well. So I don't know if this is necessarily the smartest idea. I don't know if they'll really bring out Murkrow, but basically it's like the awkward dynamic where like they have a Trick Room component, I have a Trick Room component, but I probably want to get Trick Room up more than they do, and they can reverse my Trick Room. It is going to be Murkrow and Armarouge, though. Okay. We could Terra either here, but Murkrow could, of course, like, click Brave Bird. I do have the Aqua here as well, but if I Terra into Water, I'm not weak to Brave Bird, and I resist your Fire-type attacks. So, like, I'm kind of interested in going for Spore here. Sorry. Terra Spore here onto Armarouge. And then switch out maybe into Mudsdale. Okay, seems okay with me. I think I also could have considered just Trick Rooming here, actually, but I think if I get Spore off this turn, then next turn they won't threaten me with too much. Mudsdale's gonna come out. I'm gonna go for my defensive Terra here. Okay, so Toedscruel's gonna turn into Water type. Cool. Okay, they protect. I mean, that's fine. What is Murkrow going for? Huh! Tailwind. Okay. I guess I'm fine with that, although, yeah, if I had just clicked Trick Room here, it would have punished them super heavily, but I still feel okay about this, generally. Like, I'm down to just Trick Room now. And they don't have any switch-ins to high horsepower, so I'm down to just high horsepower into that slot. Ah, they do have Taunt. Okay. Oh, I'm surprised they taunted over Tailwinding first. It's going to be Armor Cannon coming off here. Oh, I get crit. That's really rough. Yeah, it's so frustrating because if I had just clicked Trick Room over Spore on turn 1, I would have been in much better shape. But I felt like if we were able to get Spore off successfully there, like, they just have no offense going into subsequent turns. That crit's also pretty brutal, but it is what it is. Okay, I'll bring out Kingambit. Obviously I have Sucker Punch. They might have a defensive Terra here, which would be pretty annoying. I think here I'm down to Earth Power and... do I want to Protect? Like, basically, I think if I want to win this game, I need to set up Trick Room, so I need to first of all stall out the Taunt. I am worried about this having a potential defensive Terra into me. I think I am down to just Earth Power that slot and Protect here. I could see them switching out as well. Yeah, it's going to be a Terra. All right, let's see what it is. Fire Terra. Okay. Works for me. Toedscruel doesn't mind about that too much, and this makes sense on their end. They're trying to get rid of the weakness, but by going for Protect here, we'll be a little bit safer. Nice, they foul play. I would expect a double up here, honestly, but let's see. Yeah. Okay. This is one of those games where it feels really frustrating because if I had made a better move on turn 1, I feel like I would have just honestly won the game. But it's still totally winnable. Earth Power just misses out on the KO, sadly, but that's okay. Earth Power is my only means of offense here. I could obviously Sucker Punch now for a KO onto you. Okay, I'm down for that. Murkrow protects. Okay. Into Indeedee? Oh, I got a little bit lucky there because if Indeedee had come out there, I would have been in a lot of trouble, I think. But this actually works out okay. This is actually really okay because by switching out Murkrow, they now give me the ability to set up Trick Room, which is huge. And it makes sense from their end because they're probably thinking, well, Murkrow's not doing much, but your taunt just expired. So, I'm going to go for Trick Room now. The question is whether or not they have Indeedee as the 4th because it would block a Sucker Punch and that'd be really bad. So, I'm actually down to just Protect here because I don't think they can really threaten Toedscruel for a KO. And you would have thought if Indeedee were in the back, maybe they would have just brought it out last turn, but I don't want to take any chances here. Because I think if we get Trick Room up now, we should win the game. There's Throat Spray, that's fine. We have Life Orb Iron Head into that slot, and you can't Defensive Terror at this point. Armor Cannon into Kingambit. Okay, cool. Oh, it took us a long time to get here, but we are finally here. Trick Room has finally gone up. Great. Okay. The best play for them, honestly, to make here is to switch out Armarouge into Murkrow. I'm going to play it safe this turn, though. I'm just going to Iron Head and Earth Power. They don't switch or protect either Pokemon, so this is just going to be a double KO. I think, yeah, this is a great example of a game where, like, things could have gone so much better right from the beginning between not going for... Oh, they're faster than us. Okay. Under Trick Room, but they'll just faint from Life Orb. Cool. So now they're down to Murkrow plus another, and Murkrow just can't really do anything into the Kingambit, which is awesome. And I don't think they really have a final Pokemon that really threatens this duo. It could be Baxcalibur. I think if it were Indeedee, it would have come out earlier. Also, if it were Indeedee, the game's definitely over. It is going to be Baxcalibur. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. And Murkrow comes back out. So with Baxcalibur, we can obviously just make it rain. I'm down to just Rage Powder here, honestly, and Iron Head into Baxcalibur. Toedscruel's going to Rage Powder. Yep, they taunt. That's fine. Earth Power wasn't really going to be that important in Baxcalibur anyway, unless I think that like that would give me enough chip damage for Iron Head to pick up the KO, but yeah, Kingambit is a monster. This is just running through everything right now. Wow. Amazing. Now we can finally switch. I can't do anything with that Pokemon right now anyway, and then just Iron Head into Murkrow. So yeah, this early game was very scary, because I had a free opportunity to set up Trick Room. It felt like I had such a good matchup, but I think this is a good example of how, like, yeah, because we had such a good matchup, even though things didn't go our way in the early game, we were still able to, like, find a path to victory. But yeah, like, them switching Murkrow out towards the end of taunt made it a lot easier for me. So we get a flinch there, but Murkrow's never winning this offensively. And they reveal Haze. That's cool. Haze, taunt, Tailwind. Iron Head here will finish things off. Kingambit's been so fun to use, though. And yeah, I think this was interesting because Toedscruel having the Water Terra was a really big deal for us. Even though it maybe ended up not being as relevant, because it's not like they went for a Fire type attack onto that slot immediately. Like being able to cover for both our flying and fire, like the combination of those was really nice on turn 1. So yeah, I wish Mudsdale could have done a little bit more, but poor thing just got crit immediately for an instant KO. But yeah. All right, that gets us to rank 3. So far so good. We're making good progress through beginner tier. It looks like it's essentially the same system as we had in Sword and Shield, where, yeah, you have, what is it, like 10 before Master Ball? We got Lilican, Torkoal, Hatterene, Indeedee, Arcanine, Salamence. So, Torkoal. This is where Toedscruel, especially with water, and lower priority Spore is very interesting. I also have to respect the Lilligant plus Torkoal, right? I'm honestly, like, really enjoying how awesome Toedscruel's been so far. I think, like, Armarouge is also fairly interesting here. It's just, like, we have a good amount of anti-Torkoal between these two. Man, I really feel like I should bring Kingambit. It's so good into everything that's not the Torkoal. Okay, I'm down for Armarouge and the Toedscruel. And then in the back, Kingambit, and then Gholdengo Make It Rain here is decently strong. Mudsdale might be a little bit smarter. Just matches up decently into Torkoal, especially with Choice Band. Alright. I'll bring Mudsdale. Excuse me. I'm trying to think if there's anything cool we could do with our Terras outside of Water Terra here on Toedscruel. But the rest of the Terras outside of Annihilape here and Toedscruel are just offensive Terras. Kingambit with Steel, Gholdengo with Ghost, Armarouge with Fire, and then Mudsdale with Ground. So they're going to offer Torkoal plus Lilligant. Okay. So generally with this combination, like, you'll often see players go for something like a Sleep Powder or an After You Eruption. This totally could be Terra as well. Like, I think what I want to do here is Terra into Water, Spore into Torkoal, and Trick Room. Yeah, because, like, you're never really going to go for a Grass-type attack like a Leaf Storm or a Sleep Powder onto Toedscruel on turn 1. And, like, if we're able to shut down Torkoal, Lilligant completely falls apart. So, yeah, we're going to go for another defensive Terra here with Toedscruel to turn into Water. Okay. Torkoal protects, though. Okay. It's a great protect. And they just actually go for Sleep Powder immediately. That puts me in a much worse position, especially since the Sleep Powder hits. Because now they can actually just go for a Grass-type attack onto us potentially next turn. The thing is that Armarouge is pretty decent into this duel, so it's a very nice play by my opponent. And a relatively safe one as well, especially if you have Focus Sash on the Lilligant. I think that's really well done. Now the question is, do I think they're going to go for a potential Grass-type attack onto us? Because now I am just Water on Toedscruel. I don't really want to set up Trick Room here, but I think I am down to still Spore into Torkoal. Maybe Heat Wave here. Torkoal switches, though. Okay. We're going to bring on Arcanine. That's fine. Right now, they really don't have much for Armarouge, so even though we're asleep, like, it's okay. Oh, and a Terra here. I wonder if it's Grass Terra to just try to KO us. Could be Ground Terra as well. Is that Water Terra? Okay, as a resistance. Yeah, that makes sense. We're gonna Leaf Storm. But we survive, which is amazing. Okay. We do stay asleep, unfortunately, but I will now get a Spore off. Ah, their Goggles as well. Oh, so sad. We ran into... Yeah, I mean, Goggles Arcanine actually really is one of the most common items you probably expect. So it's not, like, super shocking, but... Because, like, the thing is, if I set up Trick Room now, the Torkoal really gives me some problems. So I don't even want to set up Trick Room right now, which is incredibly awkward, I think, from this spot. I could consider switching here. Maybe I still do try to set up Trick Room. Like, I'll switch and then Trick Room here. If I had clicked Trick Room on Toedscruel, I think, like, I haven't played super well with Toedscruel. I feel like I keep going for Spore when I should be clicking Trick Room, and I keep Trick Rooming when I should be going for Spore. But I think in the context of this game, it made sense to play the way I did on turn 1. My opponent just, yeah, didn't get baited into, like, after your Eruption or... Alright. I got excited for a second, but I then remembered Kingambit does not have Defiant here. Okay, we do wake up, which is good. Oh, if we had gotten an attack boost there, we actually could have been able to maybe snowball this, like, so hard. Which would have been cool. Now it's an interesting question of, like, switches. I'm worried about whatever fire-type attack Arcanine may have here. It's a question of also who Lilligant maybe wants to Sleep Powder, because if they Sleep Powder the right slot, it's quite bad for me. But I also don't want to just give them a free switch in. Like, I think here I'm down to Protect and Psyshock. Okay, neither Pokemon protects. It's really good damage from Psyshock. They just Will-O-Wisp. Okay. Probably leave, Sleep Powder into Armarouge, though, which is annoying. They're going to miss here. Okay, that's huge. If you're going for Will-O-Wisp rather than a Flare Blitz, I'm honestly thinking of doubling up into Lilligant now. Yeah. Because I don't think it's going to have Protect either. Arcanine protects. Okay, amazing. So Arcanine's a real Protect, Will-O-Wisp, and Snarl, which makes sense. Normally I would expect Flare Blitz as the last one. Okay, we should get the KO here. Nice. Lilligant's gonna faint. Oh, this is a really interesting game. And unfortunately, they timed Sun perfectly, so they'll be able to bring out the Torkoal back in Sun. It's interesting, though. I do have Flash Fire here, obviously, on the Armarouge. And it's a question of, like, Earth Power. Like, what do I want to go for here? It's tempting to want to Sucker Punch. Like, I honestly think Sucker Punch plus Armor Cannon probably KOs this. I'm down to try it here. Sucker Punch did a little bit less than I would have liked, but we'll see. Yeah, they're going to go for Earth Power, okay. But we survive, which is amazing. Excellent. Armor Cannon. That is such a cool animation. That does KO Torkoal. Let's go, Armarouge. Nice. Okay, so now we've cleared the way a little bit more for our Mudsteel potentially, and they actually just go for another Snarl, which is fine by me. One of the things I didn't talk about, by the way, is that the Armarouge here is Covert Cloak, and so that Snarl special attack drop earlier, as you saw in the stat screen, actually did not apply, which is pretty amazing. So now I'm down to go out into Mudsdale, I think. They bring out Hatterene, okay. Hatterene's actually pretty interesting because obviously that's fairly slow, but I think Mudsdale here should be in great shape. Last turn of Trick Room. The thing is, I just don't want to miss attacks here, right? Presumably the Hatterene will be slower than the, like, I'm down to go for a Protect here. I think Rock Slide is fine in this position. It is a little bit scary because I can miss, but it covers for most options that they can go for. So Hatterene protects, which is fine. Also, Mudsdale looks huge in this game. Sprite is significantly bigger than the Arcanine, it feels like. Alright, they just go for a double protect. That's fine. That also confirms the speed, because as you saw, the order went Hatterene, Kingambit, then Arcanine. Okay. Trick Room expires. I think here, like, I just don't know the fire type attack on Arcanine, but they weren't willing to Flare Blitz earlier, which was really surprising to me. If I were them, I'd consider Will-O-Wisping here, maybe. But given that they just protected with both, I think I am down to just Sucker Punch and Rock Slide here. Nice, and they're going to attack. Excellent. That should win us the game then, I think. Unless they Trick... No, if you Trick Room here... I would need to miss Rock Slide. If I miss Rock Slide and they get Trick Room up, it's still doable, but we're not going to miss here. Cool. And they actually just Psychic. Excellent. Okay, Mudsdale takes that. And now Iron Head should be able to finish it off. I'm just going to Iron Head here. This one was really scary, though. Yeah, I feel like I didn't play the early game super well. We got a little bit lucky that they missed that second Sleep Powder onto us. That is one of the things about Lilligant. It's not exactly the most consistent because it is relatively frail, so a single Sleep Powder miss can cost you. But yeah, we were lucky that was the case there. I feel like I could have played the opening a little bit better, but either way, we come out with the win, so I'll take it. All right. We've got Arcanine, Sylveon, Garchomp, Gholdengo, Amoonguss, Dragonite. I think this is what, a lot of people would kind of call like a good stuff team, which is essentially just a lot of strong Pokemon thrown together. There's a lot of potential setup here, like Swords Dance on Garchomp, Throat Spray on Sylveon or Calm Mind. Dragonite could be Dragon Dance. Gholdengo could be Nasty Plot. The Amoonguss, once again, is a little bit annoying for us here. I do think Gholdengo's, like, Make It Rain here is really powerful. So I'm thinking something like Gholdengo plus the Toedscruel. I mean, how good is Armarouge for us here? I suppose, like, both Psyshock and the fire type attacks are just valuable into the Amoonguss. So I could go with, like, Armarouge and then Kingambit in the back. Kingambit feels really solid here. Although I think I'd prefer Dark Terra rather than Steel in this one. Okay. I'd consider Annihilape, but it's the Amoonguss that makes me uncomfortable. Also with Annihilape, like, we don't really do much into their Gholdengo, which is scary. I think if they lead Gholdengo, for example, I can consider going for... Well, would I Terra? Because I guess they could just threaten me with a Ghost type attack. I could consider switching out into Kingambit. It's going to be Garchomp and Dragonite. I'm not going to lie. I really want to just go for Terra with Gholdengo. Make it rain onto both. And then Terra to get rid of the weakness. Make it rain. And then Trick Room. Okay, let's try it. I'm worried about, like, I don't know, flying Terra Blast from Dragonite. It could also just be Choice Band Extreme Speed here, which is a decently common set. It's going to be Ground Terra, I think. Yeah, okay. That's a good start for me, I would argue, because Gholdengo here is going to get rid of the Steel weakness. Or the Ground weakness, because we're getting rid of our Steel typing, I should say. And if I get Trick Room up this early while Gholdengo's out, another Make It Rain should just KO both. I expect both Pokemon to survive this turn, but yeah. The idea of Terraing here is to get rid of our Steel so that we're not weak to Groudon's ground-type attacks. Okay, they just go for Earthquake. Dragonite did not go for an Extreme Speed, though. Could be something like a Fire Punch. Let's see how much this does. Okay, 87. Not the end of the world. It's Ice Spinner. Oh. I don't think that's really that common on Dragonite, but that is going to cost me gravely, unfortunately. It's Life Orb Ice Spinner. Wow. Yeah. That's really bad for me. Unfortunately. We do get the KO with the crit there on a Dragonite, but if I get Trick Room up there, I'm in really good shape. Ice was the one type that really gave me trouble there. But maybe it's still okay. I mean, I can just bring out Kingambit now. Ooh. I mean, if I do and they bring out a Mungus, it's very bad for me. So let's see if you have a Mungus in the back right now. If not, I can still switch out Gholdengo. Okay, it's actually just Arcanine coming out. So yeah, this is still salvageable, I would argue. This turn is really interesting, though, because the obvious play for me is to simply Sucker Punch on a Garchomp. So you would expect Garchomp maybe to protect, and then Arcanine to go for something like a Flare Blitz or a Will-O-Wisp onto us. Like, what I want to do here is switch out, because I think I can win this game to set up if I set up Trick Room, right? So, like, I want to switch out into Armarouge right now, and I want to go for a Protect. Then the next turn, I'm willing to Sucker Punch in a Garchomp. Okay, they actually just Hard Switch, which also makes sense. But given that Gholdengo's coming out, that's really not great for me. This is also where if I had Defiant, things would have been very sweet, but we don't. Okay. Protect. Close combat. Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, the first question is there any chance Armarouge here can survive a Ghost-type attack from you? Because if so, we get up Trick Room. This is totally okay. Given that you have close combat, I kind of want to switch out here. Also gets rid of that Intimidate. Alright, let's see. I mean, I suspect their Gholdengo will just one-shot my Armarouge, unfortunately. Trick Choice Scarf, maybe? Thank you for the choice specs? Okay, we're chilling. I think we're chilling. Now, the downside is because of this, I am locked into the specs right now, which is a little bit awkward, but, like, yeah, I mean, I can just switch into Bisharp. I know your choice spec, so Shadow Ball into that slot is guaranteed, and that'll be a KO. Yeah, this is fine. The one thing I have to do right now is just make sure I don't reverse my own Trick Room. Okay, so we get Supreme Overlord. Shadow Ball. Choice specs, bang. Okay, that's out of the way now. Close combat, yep. I don't mind that though, right? It's like, it's better for me to get rid of Kingambit there than reverse my own Trick Room and then give them a chance to potentially sweep me again. I'm also just curious about the item on the Garchomp. Oh, sorry, on the Arcanine. So now I have two choice specs users, which is pretty fun. Garchomp comes out. Garchomp surely protects this turn. We're just going to cover for it protecting, though. Like, I'm still down to just Psyshock into it and Shadow Ball into Arcanine. And they don't protect. Cool. Yeah, like, I think actually the one way I could potentially lose this game is if I read into them protect, double up onto Arcanine, get careless, and then Garchomp just Earthquake picks up a double KO here. But you can see, yeah, even though it felt like we were fairly behind for a lot of that game, I set up Trick Room and then really just dominate afterwards. Gholdengo now Shadow Balls. Woof! That is a 1-hit KO after the defense drops from the close combat. Trick was interesting, especially if you were choice specs there. I think a Shadow Ball would have just won them the game, to be honest. So maybe they just misclicked there. Trying to think, yeah. You maybe read into Armarouge switching out there as well into Kingambit, and you're a little bit worried about that. Either way, I'll take it. Okay, okay. I am not excited for this. It is Tatsugiri, Dondozo, Flamigo, Garganackle or Garganical. Still haven't been able to confirm that pronunciation. Dragonite and Grimmsnarl. So against the Dondozo Tatsugiri combination, what could I do? They could just lead that immediately. If that were the case. Depends on like if they have, for example, Substitute. Because Toedscruel turning into Water type and then just going for Spore is fairly valuable. Yeah, it would take me forever to, like... My only super effective attack really is Thunderbolt from Gholdengo, right? Yeah, I'm pretty worried about the Dondozo Tatsugiri setup here. Also with the... It totally could be Explosion here, by the way. You just explode with Garganackle. Okay, Explosion Endure. That totally might be what's coming our way. I don't really know how to respond accordingly right now. I need more practice against this. Maybe it was Annihilape. I don't know. I went with Gholdengo because that's like immune to Explosion from the potential Garganackle. But the idea here is you just explode. Tatsugiri then goes into Dondozo, and then you have Toxic Orps, and then the Tatsugiri faints. Yeah, that is exactly the lead. I mean, what do I do? What do I do? I get a Specs Thunderbolt, which is probably correct to lock into here. And Trick Room. They go for Icy Wind. Okay. I guess I don't mind that. And Rock Slide, sure. Please. Oh. Is that a crit, or did that really just KO me? Okay. Oh, come on. I actually would have been so well positioned, too, if neither of those happened. Ah, man, that sucks. Okay. Well, I mean, that's just a Pokemon turn for you, right? Like, what can I do against that? I will Thunderbolt and try to Trick Room here. Man, that is such a bummer. Especially because Icy Wind is just like... Tatsugiri essentially wasn't even going for anything meaningful there. Because if I get the Specs Thunderbolt and I get Trick Room up there, like, they just didn't get the Dondozo combination off. And then under Trick Room, if you don't get Dondozo activated, I think I'm in really good shape. So, that sucks, but... Yeah, it's probably Dondozo coming out now. Oh, they actually bring out Flamigo. Huh, okay. You got Taunt. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I shouldn't be shocked by that, but... Thunderbolt. Okay. Yeah, I think this game is probably over, to be honest. But I should still try. Like, if I were them, I would just consider switching the Flamigo out now, finally. So I can Thunderbolt into that slot at least. Go out into Kingambit. This is fascinating. They're not bringing the Dondozo out. Okay. So we get Supreme Overlord. We're gonna go for a Terra, sure. On Flamigo. Flying Terra, though. Okay, I mean, makes sense to try to KO Toedscruel. Yeah, they're gonna go for Brave Bird. I actually could have gone for the KO onto Tatsugiri here. Muddy Water, yeah. This is maybe still winnable. If I KO Tatsugiri, would I have been in better shape? Perhaps. The thing is, if they bring out Dondozo, like, I can turn into Water Toedscruel and set up Trick Room from there. And now the Toxic Orb doesn't really benefit them because the Flamigo has fainted. I'm just so sad about that turn 1. Did they not bring Dondozo? I'm so confused. Okay. Well, we know that the Garganacl's faster than us, which is bad. Like, surely they brought Dondozo, right? But, like, why would you just not bring it out at this point? Maybe it's just content going for, like, an attack here. I could see it, this Endure. Wait, no, but the Endure stuff doesn't even really work at this point. I'm protecting and switching. I don't know if that's the move. Like, I need to get Trick Room up with Toedscruel. Ideally. Protect. Hey, Muddy Water, that's fine. Sucker Punch, I would have just KO'd them. I'm so confused, not confused why Dondozo has not hit the field yet. They just Rock Slide. Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, here I'm down to go for Trick Room and Sucker Punch. Especially if they were Rock Slide Muddy Watering last turn. I feel like I should have lost this game after turn 1, though. If Dondozo just came out and then Tatsugiri was swallowed up, eventually the Tatsugiri would faint, Flamigo comes out. I don't really think I can beat that. So I'm a little bit confused by the sequencing, and all of that makes me think that there's just no Dondozo in the back, personally. But, I don't know. Is it finally coming in? Okay. Well, there it is. But I'll at least get Trick Room up. And then I can water Terra with Toedscruel to Spore as well. I guess I'm just frustrated, if anything, because I could have just clicked Sucker Punch then last turn onto the Tatsugiri slot and just gotten a knockout there, especially because they just went for Rock Slide. Tatsugiri faints. I think we'll probably need to get a little bit lucky on sleep turns, but I think this is actually winnable. I'm going to go for Terra here into Water. Spore into Dondozo, and then just Iron Head into Garganacl. But yeah, I think if my opponent sequenced this in a different way, this would have been a guaranteed loss after turn 1, because turn 1 was just a complete nightmare, right? Like, I lost my Trick Room user, and I didn't get any damage off. But when stuff like that happens, you just gotta reflect and be like, okay, am I at least happy with the play that I made? And honestly, my answer is yes. Like, I feel decently content with the way I approached it, so... Is it sashed? Oh, it literally just lived on 1. And now they sulk here into my water typing. Ugh. Oh my gosh. This game had, like, everything go wrong for us. That thing literally survived the Life Orb Iron Head on 1 HP. I guess I could have Iron Headed and Earth Powered it, but no, I think the play we made was fine. I just can't believe that. Oh. But the fact that we could bring it close after that turn 1, at least I'm happy with. But yeah, it's a little bit disappointing to lose like this. Maybe crit Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt could para as well. No way. No way. We'll take it. We'll take it. Okay. Well, I feel like justice was served in the end, but yeah. What a game. That was just wild. I can't believe that, though. I can't remember the last time where I was like, oh, I need a crit to win the game or a para, and then it actually happened. Jeez. That was a match. That was a match and a half. Nice. We're going up against Collin Heier, third in the world from 2014. Very, very good player. He's got Lilligant, Torkoal, NDD, Armarouge, Hariyama, and Annihilape. Okay. I think I definitely want to play towards my Armarouge. My Toedscruel. Gholdengo, maybe? I'm just thinking how I approach it against like Lilligant, Torkoal lead. It's the one I'm probably most worried about. I think my best response really is this. With who do I bring in the back? Gholdengo, Kingambit, or Mudsdale? Like, I feel like it should be Mudsdale. Nah, I ended up bringing Kingambit. Like, Mudsdale's a lot stronger into Torkoal and their Armarouge. Well, not necessarily into Armarouge, because Kingambit can go for super effective Dark-type attacks into that slot. But because they have NDD, I don't know about the value of the, Because they have NDD, I don't know about the value as much here. Annihilape and Armarouge. Okay. This is definitely slightly awkward. You know, the thing is, if I could read who they're final gambiting here... Like, here's one crazy play I could make. This is risky, but I think it could pay off so well for me if I get it correct. It would be to go for Water Terra here, so that gets rid of my fire weakness. Then, I expect them to final Gambit, so what I want to do is Spore into the Armarouge, and then switch out into my Gholdengo, because I expect them to final Gambit in a Trick Room here, potentially. I don't know, this is probably too high risk, but Collin's a really, really good player, so I'm willing to try to gamble the game a little bit on turn 1. That's the Terra on his end. Fire Terra would make sense. I tried to be big brain, but it didn't work. Oh, nicely done. It's the Grass Terra to avoid my Spore. This is like the cool thing about Terra, though, right? Like, I try to make a big brain play, and he makes an even bigger brain play. So I could have spored the Annihilape slot, because I think the odds of that terroring were so slim. Well done, well done. Yep. You can see if you didn't have Grass Terra there, this play would have worked out. Standing Force. Okay, it's still honestly not the end of the world, though, because Gholdengo is incredibly well positioned right now. The question is, like, with Annihilape, it might even be worth considering... Or, sorry, with Toedscruel, I could consider switching out here, because having this for Torkoal feels really valuable. So, for example, I could consider switching out and sacrificing something right now. Nah, I don't really think it's worth it, though, to be honest. I'm down to just Earth Power here. And, make it rain. Okay, they switch. Yeah, that makes sense. Into Torkoal. Could have Earth Powered that slot. Well, actually, now you just get a sun-boosted Heat Wave. Toedscruel's faster than you, which is good to confirm. Yeah, this is just going to wreck me. Okay, nicely done. I could have considered switching out there. Yeah, maybe it's not the end of the world, though. I do get a free switch it into the Bisharp now. Or, sorry, the Kingambit. I don't regret making that turn 1 play, but it would have been so cool. But yeah, nicely done in response. I guess I could just bring on my own Armarouge here as well. Actually, I think that's the better option here, especially because they grass Terra already. Like, I want to just Earth Power Heat Wave here, I think. Oh, no switches or protects. Okay, if I actually pick up a double KO here, this is still totally doable. It's also got Energy Ball, though. This Armarouge is nuts. But the thing is, because I have Sucker Punch, that's really valuable for Annihilape in the end game, because I can just reduce... Like, also, are you really going to want to click Final Gambit? Probably not. You probably want to close combat instead, right? No, we miss! Oh, sorry. Actually, I just forgot about Flash Fire. Never mind. Playing with these new Pokemon really messes with you. Okay. I think I'm probably done for now, right? I actually honestly completely forgot about Flash Fire. Annihilape. I have Supreme Overlord. Is there any chance Life Orb Sucker Punch KOs? Like either slot? Because I'm thinking we go for Sucker Punch here. Into Trick Room. Alright. Okay. Okay. Alright, Kingambit, how strong are you? No! Oh, that was so close. Oh. You were so close. I think I just didn't really do a good job playing around their Armarouge. Like, forgetting about the Flash Fire was funny. And obviously pretty silly on my end. If we got in that KO, I actually think we had a solid shot at winning this, especially because the Armarouge on our end has the Covert Cloak as well, so we would have been immune to a Fake Out. And I could just, like, Psyshock, for example. It depends on the Hariyama set. Like, maybe it has enough offense to KO me anyway. That was so close, though. Wow. That was a really fun game. I think, like, I have no shame in losing a game like this because it's just, like, it was a high-level play, right? Wait, okay, hold on. Because of the fact they went for Fake Out here, this is still potentially winnable because, yeah, I have the Covert Cloak. Oh, we're so close to these KOs, man. It's just gonna have, like, 1 HP after burn. Oh! Everything was so low! I assume Hariyama outspeeds us under Trick Room here, so he should just be able to KO us. Oh, that is so sad. But hey, once again, games like that, I don't really mind losing. I gotta think about where I could have played better. I think, like, Gholdengo, the way I just gave it up was pretty bad, but yeah. In a best of 1, I don't mind going for the Terra the way I did on turn 1. But, like, the missed opportunity was not sporing into the other slot, I think. Because if I had spored into Annihilape, I would have shut down that slot immediately. And then Annihilape is essentially forced either to decide, hey, do I want to stay in or switch out? And it puts them in a really awkward position. I also could have considered Trick Rooming immediately as well, which I think I should have given some thought. But that was honestly an amazing match, so yeah, props to Collin there. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. I feel like that last game was honestly a great one to end things on. So I hope you enjoyed this very first episode of Road to Ranked. As I mentioned, it was a little bit longer than normal, but I was just having so much fun with the battles. And so I just can't wait to keep doing this. I'm so looking forward to December. We're going to be trying out so many new teams and strategies. And so once again, thank you so much as always for watching. My name is Aaron CybertronVGC. If you enjoyed, please share your support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll see you all next time. All right. Peace.